Tommy McLoughlin on the Fish Bowl. Welcome. Thank you for taking the time to swim in the bowl with me.
It'll be fun. I hope somebody catches something out of here and not COVID.
Right. Let's just hope the temperature's just right.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, first, I was saying to you before, I'm a huge fan. You've been an inspiration for basically a lot of my screenwriting ideas and just film in general.
It's great, thank you.
Absolutely. It's great to talk to you and just to get to tell you this stuff. My first question for you is, obviously, the big thing here is Jason Part 6.
Yeah.
Probably considered one of the best installments in the franchise. A lot of people's favorites.
Yeah, I'm surprised, but honored and blessed after all these years, 36 years, and still people are still coming up like they just saw the movie. It's amazing.
Right.
The energy, it's great.
I really like it, because, essentially at that point Jason was dead, and that was like the end of the franchise, essentially.
Yeah, Part 4 was supposed to be it, but
right.
did so well, they went, no, we're going to keep it going.
It's just like all the Friday and, Nightmare and, Hellraiser, the classic franchises of the 80s and 90s, and I'm a diehard Jason fan. My favorite was Freddy, but I prefer Jason over Michael Myers.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah, because without Michael, none of this stuff I don't think would have happened.
I know.
John Carpenter did such an amazing job with the first Halloween, and it was an excellent suspense movie on top of it all.
Right.
And just that whole thing of somebody that you don't know exactly what their agenda is, and you can't see their face, and it's frightening. And it just, without that, I don't think there would have been, a Jason. Although the first, obviously, Friday did not have any killer like that, and a wonderful twist. I love the first one. I think it's just a great idea of taking that thing and twisting it to, wait a minute, a woman did this, and then of course you find out her backstory, and it kind of makes sense.
Right.
That her son died. So, and then once it took off after that, it's like, well, we can't make the second one about the kid, so they just jumped him up into full adult.
Right.
And it's like, people say, well, what happened there? And I said, pretty much nothing. I mean, Adrienne King is in the second one. She looks exactly the way she looked in the first one. But Jason's gone from this boy to full guy with the, Elephant Man sack on. So, but the fans just kind of go along with it or come up with their own, story about the thing.
Right.
Yeah, it was just really about having some kind of a, killer that you don't see his face.
And then I think I heard that Sean S. Cunningham has the rights to it again, or something like that. And
it's so tricky.
It's a very messy territory, from what I understand.
I've written a sequel to mine that takes place in 1999, 13 years after I put him down into the lake. And I'm sort of like going, it's not that I'm not including any of the other movies. I wanted to just kind of make a standalone Friday. But the main thing, after I guess it was 32 years before I finally came up with an idea, because people kept saying, you ought to do another one. I said, I just don't have any ideas. I went, wait a minute, we've never seen one in the snow. I mean, but, heavy snow, like The Thing, John Carpenter's The Thing kind of, And then I thought, well, what if Crystal Lake, was obviously still there, and the camp is now closed down, but across the camp, on the other side of the lake, is Camp Christian Lake, and it's a spiritual retreat where they, during the winter, religious group, Christian groups, and in this case, a Catholic group of high school girls and an Irish nun come there and are completely trapped. And of course, Jason comes up through the ice in a very theatrical way, and they don't know anything about who this is and stuff, and he's looking for somebody. So it's a whole different kind of approach that I wanted to take, but I needed to keep it there in Crystal Lake.
I like that idea a lot. That's an interesting setting. We've never seen Jason in snow. We've seen him in space. We've seen him go to hell. We've seen him pretty much in all the other settings, but snow would be an awesome setting. I think there's something dreadfully eerie about the cold and being stuck in blizzard.
Yeah, because if you run, I mean, for one, we're going to see where you're going.
Right.
The tracks are there, like in The Shining.
There's not just like the threat of Jason. There's the threat of freezing. There's multiple just nature threats that are all there.
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea. I really hope that comes to fruition.
I'm trying to get it to Sean Cunningham now because obviously Victor won the young Jason,
Right.
and the mother, with Crystal Lake is going to be on Peacock.
Right.
And I've got a whole story with that, but nothing I can do with that because they've got their own. But this one I'm hoping, because all Sean's talking about right now is remaking the first one or remaking the second one.
Right.
And I don't know if the fans want to see remakes of stuff. I mean, it seems like you want fresh.
I can tell you from being a fan, I don't think we do want that. We personally, I think we want something new. Something, not as much as like I love Friday the 13th, I love Halloween, I love Nightmare on Elm Street, I love Hellraiser, I love Leprechaun. It's like they were great franchises, and I would love to see sequels and everything if they're done right like yours. But I think really what the audience wants to see is like a new Jason or like a new Freddy. Not in the sense of like rebooting it or remaking it, but something like this generation's Jason or this generation's Freddy, something like that. And I mean, I'm a diehard Friday the 13th fan, a diehard, all the classic slashers, and I love them, and I still pay to go see them in theaters and everything because they're great. Who doesn't like seeing Jason go after the whole slasher scenario, versions of what it is and everything. But I would just love to see Hollywood just putting new stuff out. That's I think is the issue right now.
Yeah, well, we'll see. As I said, I got the script, I've got storyboards, I've got the mask because the mask is going to look a little different. It's been down there 13 years, so there's certain things that I wanted to bring to kind of freshen it up, but stay with the basics, which is that very claustrophobic, like in the forest, it's like you can keep running, you'll just keep coming.
Right.
Once we add this element of the snow and stuff, it's a whole nother, impossible thing to get out of without, like you say, freezing, or him right on your trail.
What did you think of Freddy versus Jason?
I was offered that right after I did Jason Lives, and they couldn't get the rights, from New Line at that time.
Right.
So when it came up again, and I went in, I pitched a very different type of Jason Freddy movie. And New Line just said, no, we really want them to be, together. And I said, well, one, kind of is in the dream realm, and then he comes in, and then Jason is in, the real world. I'm not sure. Well, we think we got a way to do it. So, and I thought they did a good job with it. I just found myself, I take this stuff too logically, but it's cinema logic, which is very different than logic. There's certain things you can get away with in the movies. It's like, oh, okay, part of that story, that fairy tale, that myth, that legend. But, there's also that thing of like, are you going to be that stupid to go down? You saw the monster go in the basement, you're going to go down there with a stick or something. It's like, come on,
Right.
And some movies, they don't think about that. They just go, oh, no, that's what's going to happen. So I just find that if you try to find something that feels like it's not what is expected, but it works and it's surprising.
Awesome. One more film I want to talk about of yours that we were just talking about before that I'm a huge fan of. It's a huge inspiration, and Sometimes They Come Back. And I was wondering, how did that all come about?
Dino De Laurentiis had bought so many of the Stephen King books and titles and stuff, and it was the last one that he had, and it was supposed to be a short that was going to be part of Cat's Eye and one of the other ones that he had. I can't remember which one, so it was going to be like 3 shorts in one film. But then he decided, I like this as a movie, so he put it aside. And after I did Date with an Angel for him, he said, this is a Stephen King thing, but I don't like as good at this shit. But and so we looked at it together, and we ended up bringing in another writer and started, working on it and trying to get the family aspect of it a little more prevalent in the piece. And it was just, it was a nightmare to shoot because things went wrong every day on the set. We came to find out we were shooting on ancient Indian burial ground that had been dug up. So who knows? But we had a lot of issues, and at the end of the day, it all just kind of came together, and the music that Terry Palmieri came up with, I just loved. It just had the heart of what
Right.
I wanted that to be. So, yeah, to me, it was a wonderful film with all the problems that ended up being there.
Awesome, awesome. And I just have to say, like, that film was probably, I was watching it when I was writing my script, Hellraisers, because really the whole idea in my script for Reeser Demon Twins came from Sometimes They Come Back. And it has a very prominent, like, Stephen King influence, without Stephen King being relevant. And people who are, I'll just say, when it gets made, people who are horror fans will love this film. And it's just been a pleasure talking with you.
Well, thank you so much. I
Talking
appreciate
about
it.
your work. And again, I'm a huge fan. And thank you for taking the time to swim in the bowl with me.
Thanks.
Awesome.